Hello, Reject Nation. How you doing? Greg is my name.
My name is John.
We are going to talk about Leigh Whannel, Blumhouse Tilt's newest flick called Upgrade. Before we do that, I wanted to tell you guys a little cool story that happened with John and I. We got to meet Leigh Whannel. It was a really cool time. But then something especially cool happened. Logan Marshall Green, who is the star of this movie, I saw the movie The Invitation a couple months ago. Loved him in it. Quickly became like this actor. I was like, who is this guy? I love him.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite current working actors.
And then I remembered some other movies I've seen him in. I'm like, why isn't this guy more famous? We went to the premiere of Up. And he just retweeted our tweet.
Hey. You guys were here for that. You were here for that.
That just happened. We went to the movie premiere, and all night I was really nervous about going up to this guy. So we saw the movie. Because I loved him in it, it made me more nervous. We went to this after party. I'm like, should I say something to him? I should say something to him. I'm just gonna do it. You know, he's the star of the night, so he's in a circle of friends, and I'm doing that awkward thing where I'm just standing by, waiting to see if I could like get a moment to say something to him. And the second he looks at me, he breaks away from the circle. He puts his hand on my shoulder and he's like, I know you. You're the real Rejects, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I saw your video. Because we did an Upgrade trailer reaction. Wow. He's like, I didn't even know what reactions were until I saw it. I got it. I watched a couple more of your videos. We started talking for a little bit. He was saying he saw me when he was walking the red carpet. He's like, where's your buddy? I'm gonna go get him right now. And I left. I got John. Yeah, he was just incredibly nice. It was a highlight because he is like one of our favorite actors working right now. Yeah, that's just a little cool story that we wanted to share with you guys.
That was like one of the coolest nerd moments ever.
Yeah, I was like nerding out that he knew who we were. Yeah.
Yeah, like the consortium of people in that room, and to have that be the cherry on top is just so cool.
All right, so let's actually talk about this movie. So this movie, it starts off as a simple premise. It basically takes place in the near distant future where technology is like, it's better than what we have now, you know, upgrades on drone technology, upgrades on automatic vehicle technology where they could just drive, like Time Cop, where they just drive without you having to be behind the wheel.
It's that lo-fi sci-fi where there are futuristic things, but there's still cruddy parts of town, you know, there's still rundown areas.
It's more like the 80s sci-fi film. There's the tone and style of something like Terminator, but more along the lines of, I'd say, a RoboCop kind of movie. And in this world, though, you got this main character named Gray, played by Logan Marshall Green. Gray is a technophobe. He's more of a dude from our era, really more of a hands-on kind of guy. He doesn't really like all these technological advancements. A lot of the themes of this movie deal with humanity and their relationship with technology. So in this plot, something happens where his wife gets killed. He becomes paralyzed, but because he gets paralyzed, there's a person he encountered earlier who's created this technology called STEM.
Yeah, it's like this owner of a huge computer company who's got this experimental tech that's supposed to bridge the gap between his brain and his severed spinal cord, basically.
So it allows him to start walking again, but STEM also has a personality and a voice of its own.
I am STEM, the system operating your body for you.
STEM is played by a guy, the voice named Simon Maiden. He does great voice work in the film, and a lot of the great chemistry in the film comes down to Logan Marshall Green and STEM. Beyond him being able to walk again, it's a highly advanced computer. You might hear comparisons, probably says something like Jarvis. STEM has the ability to do, though, is if Gray wants to surrender to it, STEM can take over his body and essentially make him a badass action hero. Yeah. So he sets out on a revenge mission. It's a cool action movie plot. What I think was surprising for everybody was how much deeper this film is. It doesn't get carried away with trying to be overly deep, but there's a lot more nuance to the film, a lot more themes and surprises and twists that people I just don't think were expecting. You get all the cool stuff you want, but you get cool character and you get cool plot as well.
Yeah, it's smartly conceived and smartly written, so even though it is borrowing a simple setup, you know, Leigh Whannel always has a certain amount of punch with his writing, and also now too I feel like he's come into his own as a director, and all that kind of serves to make this a lot more interesting than, you know, a lot of revenge movies are.
There's a humor about it, there's some great action sequences in it. Let's just really touch on Logan Marshall Green's performance here. One of my favorite things about this dude is he can do a fully fledged character with a whole personality, but also he's so good at capturing trauma. Not in like a showy way. It's
He's
a
not
dude
like screaming and crying every 10 minutes.
Like there's this level that he has where he's trying to block it, and that's more realistic. You can see it behind the eyes, and even when he's paralyzed, you're like, this guy, I really believe he's paralyzed.
He's like his physicality.
It's a body language performance. This one,
because even there are times when he has to act in spite of his body, and like emote as a person whose body is doing things that he's not controlling, and like even that, like there's a lot this movie demands of him, and he sells it all.
Oh God, dear.
There's great choreography in this film. A lot of people have compared the plot style of kind of like a John Wick. I've heard several people chatter that after the movie was done. It's like a futuristic sci-fi John Wick in certain ways.
Or the tuxedo.
Yeah, sure. One of the few questions I asked Logan was, I call him Logan, by the way, because we're buddies.
LMG.
Yeah. Did he do martial arts training for this? And he said he didn't want to.
He
like,
said, no, it's not a martial art.
They obviously did choreography for the film, and he did a lot of rehearsal for the film, but he didn't actually do training for it. He didn't want to move like a martial artist. He wanted to...
It's all cock and back and stuff like that, whereas this was all efficiency.
And a lot of the way, you can even see it in the trailer, it's really interesting to see a dude who's like doing these fight sequences, and a lot of the time he has to do a performance where he's not even sure what his body's doing.
Yeah, it's like his body is doing all of this with ease, and he's just along for the ride, and it's fascinating to watch his face while all this is happening.
And there's some gore in here that I think is utilized so well. It's never, to the point where they're just being gory for gore's sake.
It's always a punctuation.
It's a punctuation. It has an effect. And I love how his character doesn't adjust to the gore so well.
Yeah, that was one detail I just wasn't anticipating.
It's very human. It's a human reaction to the gore that happens. And I don't want to give away the details of it because there's several scenes that do it in such a great way where I'm like, man, the writing on this character is so well done. I gotta say, this is an original movie. There's no comic book property, at least from my understanding. There's no comic book property associated with this. It's not a franchise. It was the premiere, but it's not like the majority of this packed theater was personally involved with the film. Yeah. A lot of the people that showed up were people who just won screening tickets to go see it. That film garnered quite a bit of applause and cheers throughout the film.
Pretty much every major action sequence got like a good round of applause. It wasn't even scattered. It earned its cheers.
If you've seen the trailer reactions, that was the theater.
Yeah.
And rare is the day where a trailer reaction will match like, oh my God, that like we were doing, even that big scene that they show in the trailer, it's still incredibly effective when you watch in the actual theater, and you can't help but cheer when it goes down. You just can't help but cheer.
And that was super gratifying just as a film fan to go into something that isn't resting on nostalgia, crossover, previous properties, anything. Just purely earning that applause and those cheers with just sheer ingenuity. And sheer force of punch, It
was great. And a lot of the main credit goes to Leigh Whannel for his writing and direction on the film.
It was cool to see him do Insidious 3 and to cut his teeth, but this feels like a really confident step for him.
Before it gets like gory or any action sequences, there's a lot of build up to it, which is the right way to do it.
It's an actual
movie. Right way to do it.
It's got an actual setup. You actually get to know your character
really
first.
Care about the character before any of this crazy mayhem starts really going down, which is nice and refreshing. And what I love about his writing with this was a little bit later on in the film, you are reminded that this guy did write Saw, the first one. I'm really talking about the first Saw. You think you know the twists, you think you know the surprises, but then, oh wow, there's stuff I just did not see coming that works very well for the film.
And it's one of those films that will push you to the edge and make you go, well, what? But then the more you think about it, the more you're like, oh, well, I guess so. Yeah. I guess so. Wow.
And his uniqueness on his camera angles I thought was great. There's a lot of really cool stylistic camera angles in here, and it's never just for show-offy purposes.
It's always used in line with something specific to the story and to the visual.
And especially to complement Logan Marshall Green's state of mind in those scenes.
Yeah.
That was probably the best part about it, was you feel like you're in his state of mind.
Yeah, totally.
And also this film just has really cool designs overall. I like how it's a
cool version of the future.
It's not like overblown with crazy sci-fi and the production design. I like that cyberpunk, as you'd say, I like that cyberpunk flair to it. And you see in the trailer very brief shots where these dudes have like guns planted in their hands.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a video game, but it works and it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's certain things, like the cars are really sleek, and you're like, yeah, I buy that.
Yeah.
And then the things like the body mods are really grungy looking and inky, and you believe that, like, yeah, this is probably black market technology.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, it just goes to creating this world that feels very lived in, even though this is a pretty compact movie.
There's some additional performances in here. There's Betty Gabriel.
Betty Gabriel.
She plays a detective who's investigating the murder of his wife. Benedict Hardy, who's the main villain in the movie, gives a really surprising, subtle performance, an effective one. He's like the right level of creepy.
Yeah.
This could have been hammed up, but it was done really well.
Well, they don't build him up to be anything more than he is, which is good. Everything in this movie is on the right level, I feel like.
And there's another dude named Harrison Gilbertson who plays Aaron, the guy who creates STEM, who reminds me of who's the guy from A Cure for Wellness?
Dane DeHaan.
Yeah, Dane DeHaan. I thought for a second it was him. Yeah. When the film was done, I was with my girlfriend and John, and I'm pretty sure all of us, right when it was done, were like, that's one of my favorite films of the year.
Yeah.
Easily one of my favorite films of the year.
Left an impression immediately. Like, it was making impressions, like, partway through the movie experience, and then it was done. We were just like, yes!
Yeah.
You know?
And I like the ending, because the ending can be challenging for an audience. Be on the side that might love it, and you'll be on the side that might, like, I don't know about that ending. Personally, I thought it was great. I think that ending button, like, that's like a Leigh Whannel maneuver right there, and I loved it.
Yeah, I feel like maybe people might have issues with the twist, but I think the ending is pretty terrific.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Highly recommend this movie, guys. Go watch it. Please do yourself a
Can't
favor.
say enough.
Go watch it. All right, well, you guys can subscribe to the Reject Nation. Click that notification bell to get notified every time one of our vids is up. Also, check us out on Patreon. Full-length TV show reactions, weekly Q&As, music video coverage. Would love to have you become a Patronaject today.